Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Mags. So of course the Premier League is finally back. It kicks off tomorrow at 8 o'clock as Crystal Palace take on Arsenal at Selhurst Park. But we're here to talk about my team Newcastle United in this preview as we talk about the game against none other than Nottingham Forest, a team that have not played in the Premier League in 23 years as my team Newcastle United take on Nottingham Forest. It's St James's Park in a 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. And I've got to say, I am raring to go for this one. I'm so happy that the Premier League is finally back. It is time to enjoy some football again. And of course, before we get into that, congratulations as well to the Lionesses on winning the Euros. That was an absolutely amazing feat by the women. And of course, they really did a lot in that tournament, and an impressive showing by them in that tournament as well. And I'm sure you know that will benefit the women's side of the game hugely going forward. But before I go into this preview, I do want to say congratulations to them on winning the Euros this year. Moving on from that, let's talk about this preview against, of course, Nottingham Forest. And like I say, Nottingham Forest haven't been in the Premier League in 23 years. The last time Nottingham Forest were in the Premier League and the last time they played at St James's Park in the Premier League 23 years ago, Alan Shearer banged in a double against Nottingham Forest. And they are here because last season they managed to finish in fourth place, making their way into a game against none other than Sheffield United, which they beat aside to then take on Huddersfield Town, which they knocked aside again and made their way into the Premier League for the first time in 23 years since they were last in the Premier League. And after that, of course, during this window, they've been doing a lot of signings. And when I say a lot of signings, it is an understatement because they have signed 14 players in this window. Steve Cooper has been spending like crazy in this window for Nottingham Forest. And I don't know what Nottingham Forest fans feel about this, but me as a Premier League fan and a fan of Newcastle United and know, what it's like to support a team in the Premier League. The Nottingham Forest fans have got to be looking at this and thinking this is a bad decision. 14 players coming in. We all know it's going to take time for them players to gel. Was it the right decision by Steve Cooper and Nottingham Forest's board to be making 14 new acquisitions heading into their first Premier League campaign since, of course, 23 years ago? Of course, they've signed some players that we do know here in the Premier League, like Nico Williams of Liverpool. Of course, they've signed Jesse Lingard on a free, which brought up quite a bit of controversy on that one because of the wage demand that, of course, Jesse Lingard was asking for. And Nottingham Forest have paid that, which is quite questionable in my opinion. I would have never paid anywhere up to that wages for a player of Jesse Lingard. Hopefully it works out for Nottingham Forest. Obviously not on Saturday, of course, because I want to see, of course, my team Newcastle United get off on the right foot and want to be able to, assault this Premier League a lot easier than we did last season. I mean, it took right the way till the 8th game into the campaign to be able to pick up our first home win of the season, which was, of course, against none other than Burnley, which were won 1-0 in that game. But of course, looking at it, this is going to be an interesting game on both sides of the fence. It's going to be an interesting game for us Newcastle United fans because this is the first full season under our new owners. So it's going to be interesting to see, how these new acquisitions that we've brought in, like Sven Botman, Nick Pope, obviously Matty Target signed on a permanent deal after his loan spell with last season. Obviously, we'll want to see a full season of Bruno Guimaraes in a black and white shirt as well. Kieran Trippier in a black and white shirt for a full season as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, how we'll go about this season. We've obviously got a really good manager in Eddie Howe as well, who knows what he's doing. He likes to play attacking, attractive football as well. So it's going to be interesting to see that instead of the drab, boring, shitey Bruce Bowl that we had to see last season. But it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, the Nottingham Forest fans are watching. I'm sure you're excited as well. 23 years away from the Premier League is a long time. Leeds United had a similar one. Obviously, not as long as Nottingham Forest, but they were away for quite a while from the Premier League. So they know what it's like to be away for a long time. And of course, we've seen what Leeds United did last season. They've managed to do reasonable in their campaign in the Premier League. But looking at this game, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to go with it being more in the favour of ourselves on this one, more in the favour of Newcastle. I'm going to go with, of course, to go into this game, and I'm going to say a 3-1 win for Newcastle in this one. Obviously, we're seeing the return as well of an old boy in Jack Colback, but would have been seeing the return of two old boys with Sammy Amiobi as well being a player of Nottingham Forest, but he has left the club, so he won't be making his return back to St James's Park. But we will maybe see the return of Jack Colback back to St James's Park since, of course, his departure off to Nottingham Forest. But like I say, it's an interesting one. Nottingham Forest signed 14 players. Jesse Lingard, Nico Williams. There's some decent players in there, but how, they use them players is going to be the defining factor on how Nottingham Forest play in this season, and if Nottingham Forest can keep themselves up this season as well. The referee going into this game is going to be Simon Hooper. Now, he's no stranger to Newcastle United games. He was, of course, last seen taking charge of our 2-0 defeat at, of course, Aston Villa's ground, Villa Park, back in January of 2021. And, of course, on VAR will be none other than Lee Mason. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lee Mason goes about on VAR if he is called upon during the game at any point. And talking about, of course, our team, talking about Newcastle United, we will be without Jonjo Shelvey as he missed out due to injury. And Javier Manquillo, Jamal Lewis and Federico Fernandez all failed to kick a ball during pre-season. So they're going to be missing out as well. And let's talk about new rules that have been brought to the Premier League as well this season. We're seeing the number of substitutes allowed has been increased to 5 from a bench of 9, meaning that the matchday squads now consist of 20 players. And those 5 permitted substitutes must be made during no more than 3 breaks in play plus the half-time interval, which of course prevents teams time wasting or trying to rack up additional time by making up to 5 single substitutes. So they won't be allowed to do that. They will have to do them in no more than 3 breaks in play plus the half-time interval for them brand new increased 5 substitutions. But it's going to be interesting, no doubt, how this game plays out. And I am going full on in saying Newcastle's going to come away from this game with the win in the bag. That's no disrespect whatsoever at Nottingham Forest, but the way we played last season was absolutely electric. The way we've showed in pre-season is absolutely electric as well, and we're going to have some absolutely outstanding world-class players playing in this team from the get-go. We're going to possibly see the likes of Sven Botman playing in it centre-back. Nick Pope's going to more than likely be in goal, I would think. Maybe we'll see Almiron play out on the right wing. If not, then it'll be Ryan Fraser. The left wing's obviously going to be Maxi. We're going to see a centre of midfield of Bruno, Big Joe Linton and Little Joe Willock. And of course, up front, we're going to see with number 9, Callum Wilson, hopefully banging quite a few goals against Nottingham Forest on Saturday. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. What's your score prediction as well down in the comments below? I'm going 3-1 Newcastle for this game. And want to get off on the right foot this time around. Don't want to be waiting right the way until December like we had to last year for the pick up our first Premier League home game win of the season, which was against, of course, Burnley. We want to be getting off on the right foot from the get-go and get them 3 points in the bag early, because this is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting season. Anyway, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe to 100% Mags, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, lads.